So good morning. In the last lecture on transport of water, we discussed about the opening and closing of stomata. You have gone through the same lecture and you cleared the concept about stomatal opening and closing. But because of some technical issues, so last 20-25 minutes I will going to repeat, not recorded in the video. That's why I will going to repeat some examples associated with the opening and closing of the stomata. Okay. So what we studied in the last lecture, just have a glance. Okay. Please watch the last lecture of 32 minutes, almost 32 minutes on the same chapter. We discussed about stomatal opening and closing. Stomata opens during daytime, get closed at night, and the opening and closing of stomata is under the control of some physiological activities. What are these physiological activities? We will just rewind one more time. How stomata opens? Now it is very clear that stomata is present on the lower epidermis of the lip. Such leaves are called as hypostomatic leaves. Stomata opens during daytime, get closed at night. Stomata opens during day and it helps in the entry of CO2 and release of O2 required for photosynthetic activity. When stomata opens, automatically transpiration also occurs. Okay. Then events, one more time, events for opening of stomata. According to some scientists, Karth, in the last lecture we gone through the same, starch sugar conversion is responsible for opening and closing of stomata. When starch is converted into sugar, stomata opens. Starch is converted into sugar, stomata opens. Okay. This requires alkaline pH. In alkaline pH, stomata opens. Okay. Next, H plus exit from guard. H plus exit from guard, stomata opens. K plus entry in guard cells, stomata opens. K plus entry in guard cell from subsidiary certainly helps in opening of stomata. Then ABA exit from guard. Abscisic acid when exit from guard into subsidiary, stomata opens. Okay. These conditions are required for opening of stomata. Okay. CO2 concentration decreases. CO2 decreases. Stomata opens. So stomata will open when starch is converted into sugar in alkaline pH. H plus exit from guard to subsidiary. According to Leavitt scientist, in the previous lecture we discussed on the same. K plus entry in guard cell, opening of stomata. ABA exit from guard in the subsidiary, opening of stomata. And when CO2 concentration in the guard cell decreases, automatically stomata opens. Okay, fine, right. But the question here is that stomata remains open during daytime, get closed at a night. During night, just opposite activities takes place. Sugar is converted into starch for causing closure of stomata. Alkaline, that is instead of alkaline now acidic pH is required. H plus exit from guard cell. So instead H plus enters for closure in guard cell. K plus entry in guard cell. K plus exit from guard cell. ABA exit from guard cell. ABA enters in guard cell, opposite करतोय आपण, abscisic acid enters in guard cell and CO2 decreases, just change the same as opposite, CO2 increases. In the last lecture we gone through one important question or one reason, what will happen when the concentration of CO2 around the leaves increases. When the concentration of CO2 around the leaves increases, it will eventually cause the closure of stomata. Okay friends, now next. Okay, then there are some plants in which stomata remains open at night. In CAM plants, stomata opens during night and close during daytime. Why? In CM plants, stomata opens during night and remains closed during daytime. Okay, so number one, give reason why in CAM plants stomata remains open during night and get closed during day. Number one, what are CAM? CAM are called as crassulacean acid metabolism plants. CAM plants are called as crassulacean acid metabolism plants. What is crassulacean acid? In the members of family, these plants belongs to the member. These plants are the members of family Crassulaceae. In Crassulaceae family, the plants included shows a special cycle mechanism called as CAM pathway. The pathway observed in such a plant is called as CAM pathway. What is CAM pathway? Crassulacean acid metabolism pathway. Okay. For example, why? So question first, why in such a plants stomata remains open during night and get closed during daytime? Okay. So these plants, reason, these plants are xerophytic plants. CAM plants are xerophytic plants. They are xerophytes. Therefore, CAM plants grows in dry or arid region of the world, and they grow, CAM plants grows in such a soil where there is shortage of water. Arid or xeric conditions are characterized by shortage of water. So CAM plants are xerophytes. They grow in dry or arid regions. That's why the main problem before such a plant is they should require conservation of water. They should require conservation of water. They should learn how to conserve water. CAM plants require conservation of water. Why CAM plants requires conservation of water? Reason is simple, because they are adapted to the xeric environment of the world. They grows in such a condition where there is scarcity of water. Okay, due to shortage of water, the plant need to show greater tolerance according to the unfavorable conditions. That's why to minimize the rate of transpiration, stomata remains closed during daytime and get open at night. So in CAM plants, stomata opens at night and get closed during day to minimize the rate of transpiration, Okay, already the plant faces shortage of water. Water is short in the body of plant, and if a stomata remain open during the course of day, whatever the water is present, it may escape through the stomata by a process called as transpiration. That's why in CAM plants, to check the rate of transpiration, stomata remains closed during day and opens at night. Okay, when stomata opens at night, stomata night open, called as scotoactive stomata. What is scotoactive stomata? Scotoactive stomata is simply called as night open stomata. The stomata which remains open during night time is called as scotoactive, and when stomata opens during the course of day, called as photoactive. Photoactive stomata, day open stomata. Scotoactive stomata, night open stomata. Okay, so general stomata in most of the plant is photoactive, that means it remains open during the course of day, friends. But in CAM plant, special modification is present, that stomata remains closed during daytime and get open at night, and the reason for the same is to minimize the rate of transpiration, because CAM plants are xerophytic plants and they grow in the arid condition of the soil. Therefore, to minimize the water loss or to conserve the water, certainly stomata remain closed during daytime. So question here is that, so in CAM plants, stomata opens at night, get closed during day, then how they perform photosynthesis? Whether they are going to perform photosynthesis at night, whether they are going to perform photosynthesis in moonlight, because stomata remains open, friends, no doubt they will going to perform the photosynthesis process during day only. One more time, CAM plants, क्रॅस्युलेसिन ॲसिड मेटाबॉलिक प्लांट्स, असे प्लांट्स आहेत की त्यांच्यामध्ये स्टोमाटा हा डेला क्लोज असेल तर नाईटला ओपन असेल. क्वेश्चन असा आहे, डेला स्टोमाटा क्लोज असल्यामुळं जो CO2 फोटोसिंथेसिससाठी लागतो, वन ऑफ द रॉ मटेरियल, तो CO2 कसा एंटर होईल प्लांटच्या बॉडीमध्ये, because stomata remain closed during daytime. Okay, so I will going to explain the most appropriate reason for the given question. So how they will going to perform photosynthesis? Friends, they will going to perform photosynthesis only during daytime. Those stomata remain closed, the photosynthesis will going to perform during daytime. Photosynthesis will not going to switch at the night. Okay, or it will not going to take place in moonlight, it will going to occur in the sunlight. Okay, right. Then for CM plants, for example, there are some examples of CM plants. Bryophyllum, Kalanchoe, are the examples of CAM plants. In these plants, stomata remains closed during daytime. So stomata remains closed during daytime. Then how they can manage the concentration of CO2 required for photosynthetic activity? Okay, so one thing is now clear, that during daytime when light is available, CO2 will not going to enter in the plant because of stomatal closure to check the rate of transpiration. That's why friends, such a plants during night CAM plants in a night CAM plants synthesizes malic acid. Okay, one more time. So in a night CAM plants synthesizes malic acid, a 4 carbon. In a night CAM plants synthesizes malic acid. In a night CAM plant undergoes synthesis of production or synthesis of malic acid. Okay, so synthesis of malic acid takes place. Malic acid is the 4 carbon compound. Okay, 4 carbon compound malic acid is produced by such a plants CAM plants during night, and the same malic acid during the course of day breaks into CO2 and 3 carbon compound. Malic acid during daytime undergoes its dissociation. During daytime malic acid 4 carbon compound undergoes its dissociation, and this 4 carbon compound is converted into 3 carbon compound and CO2. And friends, the same CO2 which is released as a result of dissociation of malic acid is used by CAM plants during daytime for performing photosynthetic activity. Therefore, though the stomata is closed during daytime, till photosynthesis will not going to affected, because the source of CO2 during daytime for photosynthetic activity is made available from the dissociation of malic acid. Okay, so therefore, in such a plants there is secretion of more malic acid takes place during night. Malic acid is synthesized during night, and during daytime malic acid is used. Malic acid is used more during night, less during day. Production of malic acid at night, utilization of malic acid takes place during day to produce metabolic CO2. What is metabolic CO2? The CO2 which is synthesized by the plant itself is called as metabolic CO2, and the CO2 required for photosynthetic activity will not going to enter from the atmosphere. Therefore, CAM plants can perform photosynthesis during the daytime, though the stomata is closed, by deriving the source of CO2 from malic acid. That CO2 is called as metabolic CO2. Metabolic CO2 is the source for photosynthesis. Metabolic CO2 is the source for photosynthesis. Okay, right, friends. In CAM plants, therefore, diurnal fluctuation in the concentration of malic acid takes place. Diurnal fluctuation in the concentration of malic acid takes place. That is, at night malic acid is synthesized in abundance, while it is utilized during the course of daytime to make CO2 available for photosynthetic activity. An important adaptation shown by CAM plants, important crustacean acid metabolic plants. Okay, friends, right. Now next, what is the special feature of C3 and the C4 plants? You might have learnt in the chapter photosynthesis. Okay, right. C3 plants are Calvin's, they show C3 plants are known for presence of Calvin cycle, while C4 plants are known for showing HSK cycle. What are Calvin cycle, HSK? We will discuss in photosynthesis. Okay, or you might have learned the same in 11th class, photosynthesis. Okay, right. The same chapter, transport in plant, is entitled as plant water relation in the new curriculum of Maharashtra in 12th class, and the same chapter is in CBSE in 11th class. Okay, fine, right. So then question is, what is the character of C3 plants and C4 plants? If you are not remembering these C3 and C4 cycle, in brief I will try to explain here, because we require the knowledge of the C3 and C4 for comparison of the usage of CO2. Okay, C3 and C4 are the two photosynthetic pathway. Okay, just we will revise in short. You already learnt in photosynthesis chapter. If not, go through the same, read C3 and C4 cycle. I will summarize here short. In this chapter, C3 plants shows a Calvin cycle, because this cycle was modified by scientist Melvin Calvin, Dr. Melvin Calvin, hence called as Calvin cycle. C4 is called as HSK cycle, because this cycle was firstly proposed by Hatch, Slack and Kortschak, so called as HSK cycle, and C3 was firstly given by Calvin, called as C3. C3 cycle is called as C3 because carbon 3. C4 is called as C4 because carbon 4. C3 is called because first stable product in Calvin is first stable product in Calvin cycle is 3 carbon PGA. First stable product in carbon cycle is 3 carbon PGA, that is phosphoglyceric acid. Here first stable product is OAA, that is oxaloacetic acid. Oxaloacetic acid is the 4 carbon compound and is the first stable in HSK. Okay, so here PGA is the first stable, which is 3 carbon compound phosphoglyceric acid. In case of C4, OAA, that is oxaloacetic acid, is the first stable compound. Okay, fine. Now next, the question here is that, one more, we will discuss the main point associated with the transport in plants. Why C4 are more productive than C3? Why C4 plants are more productive than C3 plants? Okay, right. Then you will get the reason associated with CO2, H2, etc. C4 plants are mainly grasses. C4 plants are mainly grasses. Sugarcane is the efficient C4 plant. Okay, sugarcane or jowar, maize, etc. are examples of C4 plants. Okay, so C4 plants are mainly grasses, or they are monocots. Okay, they are monocots. Why? Question is, why C4 plants are more productive than C3? Because C4 plants can perform photosynthesis in very low H2O, in very low water level. C4 plants can perform photosynthesis in very low water level. C4 plants can perform photosynthesis in very low concentration of CO2. C4 plants can perform photosynthesis in low water, in a low CO2, in a very low sunlight, dim sunlight. Okay, and they will not going to show photorespiration, and C4 do not show photorespiration. Okay, you already learnt in 11th class. C4 do not show photorespiration. Okay, so one more time, C4 plants can perform photosynthesis in very low H2O level, in low CO2, in very dim or low sunlight, while C3 can't. C3 requires more comparatively water, sufficient water, more CO2. Bright sunlight is required for C3 to perform photosynthesis, and C4 do not show photorespiration. Now friends, what is photorespiration? So this is sugarcane plant. Saccharum officinarum is the scientific name of sugarcane plant. Sugarcane plant is C4 plant. Okay, sugarcane plant is C4 plant, and this is one mango or ficus plant, and this plant is C3 plant. Okay, C3 plant. The question here is that why C4 are more superior than that of C3? Reason number one, CO2. When CO2 is very low, till C4 can perform photosynthesis. C4 can perform photosynthesis in very low, that is 1 to 2 ppm, parts per million CO2, while C3 requires 25 to 50 ppm CO2. Okay, reason number one. C4 can perform photosynthesis in low light, while C3 can't perform photosynthesis in dim light. C4 can perform photosynthesis in very low water, while C3 requires abundant water, sufficient water for photosynthesis. And one more reason important, C4 never shows photorespiration. C4 are not going to show photorespiration. Now, but C3 can show photorespiration. What is photorespiration? Photorespiration is a physiological activity by which during daytime, when sufficient light is available, by inhibiting photosynthesis, plant prefers respiration. Photo, light, respiration, जे respiration दिवसा सफिशियंट लाईट असताना सुद्धा होतं. ॲक्च्युली प्लांट डेला फोटो करता, नाईटला रेस्पिरेशन करता, परंतु काही प्लांट जसं की C3 ज्यांना जास्त सनलाईट चालत नाही, खूप जास्त लाईट पडली तर ते फोटोसिंथेसिस स्टॉप करता, स्टोमाटा क्लोज करता, ट्रान्सपिरेशन थांबवता, वॉटरचा लॉस प्रिव्हेंट करता आणि ज्या बदल्यात स्टोमाटा क्लोज करता आणि फोटोच्या ऐवजी कुणाला चॉईस देता? रेस्पिरेशन. ओके, परंतु C4 प्लांट्स कधीच फोटो रेस्पिरेशन दाखवत नाहीयेत. मीन्स ते दिवसा प्रत्येक वेळेस फोटो आणि फोटोसिंथेसिसच करतील आणि ज्या अर्थी ते जास्त फोटोसिंथेसिस करता त्या अर्थाने ते जास्त प्रोडक्टिव्ह असतील. वन मोर टाइम, इन C4 plants are more productive because number one, they perform photosynthesis in low CO2, low H2O, dim light, low light, etc. and they are not going to show photorespiration. Photorespiration is a process by which instead of favoring for photosynthesis, C4 plants will not going to perform respiration by inhibiting photosynthesis during the course of day when sufficient light is available. But C3 plants inhibit photosynthesis during daytime in high light intensity, in very high temperature, to prevent the rate of transpiration. That's why C3 are less productive. Okay, and friends, the one more reason is that both the plants, for example, for photosynthetic activity 6 CO2 are used. When 6 CO2 are fixed by C3 as well as C4 plants to bring photosynthetic activity, C4 plants releases half water, remove half water as compared with C3. For CO2, when 6 CO2 are used for photosynthetic activity both by C3 and C4 plant, C4 plants removes half water as compared with C3, means C4 plants are best suited according to water stress. Okay, and they remove therefore very less water. Okay, right, means they can perform photosynthesis in low water table as well. Okay, fine, right. So now next point is uptake of minerals, and next one more, that is translocation of minerals. So how exactly uptake of minerals takes place in plants? Okay, uptake of minerals and ions in plant can be by involving both the processes, that is one active process and another is called as a passive process. Okay, so uptake of minerals. How exactly the entry of minerals or ions takes place from soil in the plant root? The uptake of mineral ions, I already told you that, can be by two mechanisms, that is by active process and by passive process. The process is said to be active when it utilizes energy. The process which completes by utilizing energy is called as an active mechanism, while passive is the process which do not require energy. Any physiological activity which do not requires consumption of energy is called as passive, while the physiological activity which completes by the expenditure of energy is called as a active mechanism. The uptake of minerals from the soil in the plant root is under the control of two important factors. Number one, minerals or ions are the charged particles, or elements. Okay, they are the charged particles or elements. That's why they by their self will not going to enter in the plant root. They will going to enter, okay, but either by active or by passive or by some control points in the plants. Okay, right. So they require therefore energy. Minerals or ions are charged elements, particles. That's why they require energy. Energy is required for their uptake. Okay, fine. And the second is that the concentration of minerals and ions is more in plant root as compared to that of soil. Second important factor element is the concentration of minerals. The concentration of minerals is more in plant root as compared to the soil, as compared to the soil. Okay, so the uptake of minerals and ions is mainly on two important factors, that is minerals or ions are the charged particles, that's why they will not going to themselves enter inside the plant root easily, either by active or passive mechanism is required by utilizing energy for their uptake. And second, the concentration of minerals is more in plant root as compared to that of soil. Okay, right. Therefore, when the minerals enters in the plant root from the soil, either by active process or by passive process, in the plant there are some control points or check points are present. What are control points or check points? Control points or check points are those regions. Control points are those regions which are known to control the movement of solute solute in the plant root, or elements can particles, elements, components, minerals, ions, etc. will enter in the plant root from the soil under the function of control points, and some specific proteins are also located on the cell membrane which are going to permit the movement of minerals and ions from the soil inside the plant root. Okay. So, one more time, the control points are the specific regions whose function is to regulate the movement of minerals, ions in the plant root from the soil. Second, some special proteins are present on the cell membrane which are also involved in the translocation of minerals and ions in the plant cell. Okay. Such proteins are also called as pump proteins. Such proteins are called as pump proteins. What are pump proteins? Why for they are required? Pump proteins are present in the plant root whose function is to allow the translocation of minerals and ions from the soil in the plant root. So, such proteins are called as simply pump proteins, right. Friends, when root absorbs water and minerals, water enters by simple process called as osmosis. Water enters by simple process called as osmosis. In the previous lectures, I told you that the movement of water is simply called as osmosis. Okay, fine. Then when minerals enters in the plant, firstly absorbed by plant root, they enters in the cells of epidermis. From epidermis the movement is towards cortical cells. Then in the endodermis, one more time simple, I will draw the sketch. Already you have studied the same in the previous lecture. So, root hair absorbs capillary water. Root hairs are the fine thin thread like structures, mainly derivatives are present on the epidermis. Root hairs are also called as trichomes. Why are they called as trichomes? Trichomes are epidermal appendages. Epidermal appendages. Stomata is also an example of trichome. Stomata is also an example of trichome. Those structures which are located on the epidermis are called as trichomes. In man, nails hairs are called as trichomes. Here root hairs, stomata are called as trichomes. Trichomes are simply called as epidermal appendages. So, root hair absorbs water, water enters in the cells of epidermis, then moves through the loosely arranged many cortical layers. The cells of cortex are loosely arranged and they permit the movement of water from epidermis to the inner region of the root, and when the water enters from the cortical cells in the single layer which lies inner to the cortex. So this one is cortex, epidermis. The single layer which lies inner to the cortex is called as endodermis. Okay, endodermis. Endodermis is characterized by presence of control points. Where control points are present, control points which control the movement of minerals and ions are present in endodermis. Control points are those points which are known for controlling the movement of minerals and ions, and you people already learnt that in endodermis there are some specific regions which are known for deposition of waxy coat. This waxy coat is called as suberin. This waxy coat is made up of suberin, and suberin forms specialized Casparian strips. Okay, these are called as Casparian strips. So in the endodermis, specialized Casparian strips are present. These Casparian strips are made up of suberin, and when water enters in the endodermal Casparian strips, suberized Casparian strips, the movement of water is blocked, blocked. The movement of water is blocked by suberized Casparian strips, and it will be important control point in the transport of water and minerals or the transports of solute in the interior of the plant. Okay, so due to presence of suberized Casparian strips in endodermis, the movement of minerals and ions is unidirectional. The movement of minerals and ions is unidirectional, that is from root to the xylem and finally towards the leaves. This is due to presence of some control points, and these are present in endodermal region. Casparian strips also helps in maintenance of translocation of unidirectional flow of water and minerals, that is from root towards the leaves. Hence we can say that suberized Casparian strips are responsible for unidirectional movement of water and minerals. Okay, fine. Now one more short point. Translocation of minerals. Translocation of minerals. How exactly the translocation of minerals and ions takes place? Translocation, that is the transport of minerals and ion from the root to the leaves, is controlled with the help of again some physiological activities. So we will going to discuss the account of the same in translocation of minerals. Okay, So plant shows presence of two important regions. In plants, two important regions are present, that is growing point, growing region, or simply we can use the term source and sink. What is the source and what is sink? Source is the region. Source is the region where food in plant is synthesized. Food is synthesized, or synthesis of food takes place. Source is the region where food synthesis takes place. For example, leaves are the sites for photosynthetic activity called as source. What is sink? Where food is transported. Food is transported. Sink are the regions where food is transported. Source is the region where food is synthesized. Source is simply called as kitchen of the plant. Source is simply called as leaves as far as photo is considered. Source are called as chloroplast, or kitchen of the cell is nothing but a chloroplast. So source, that is synthesis of food. Sink, branches, root, stem, etc. are called as sink region. What are sink? Where the food is transported. जिथं फूडचं सिंथेसिस होतं त्याला सोर्स म्हणायचं. जिथं फूड ट्रान्सपोर्ट केलं जातं त्याला सिंपल नाव तुम्ही काय देऊ शकता? सिंक. ओके. In case of translocation of minerals, now source, root, where minerals are present in greater concentration. Source, root. Sink, where minerals are transported. Source, in case of minerals, root. Root absorbs minerals from the soil. So source of minerals, root. Source of photosynthesis, leaves. Sink for photosynthesis, where food is transported. And sink in case of minerals and ion is the growing regions of plant. Growing regions of plant are called as sink. Growing regions of plant are called as sink, and they include, for example, meristematic tissue. Meristems are growing regions. Okay, they require more minerals and ions. Flowers, shoot tips are growing region. Meristems are growing region. Fruits are growing region. Seeds are growing region. They require the transport of these minerals comparatively in very high concentration. So source, where minerals are in abundance, where from they enters in the body of plant. Sink, where the minerals are transported. So root is the source for mineral uptake, and sink is nothing but a growing region where the minerals concentration is comparatively required for higher concentration or higher proportion, because they have to attain the growth. Fine. And now then how exactly the translocation takes place? Certainly the translocation of minerals, ions from the root toward the entire plant body, that is leaves, is through XYLEM, xylem. Xylem is the conducting strand or long pipeline like structure whose function is upward conduction of water and minerals against the gravity. Okay, but now important friends, these minerals are present in plant, they are required for performing some vital activities of the plant. Okay, minerals are classified into two types: remobilized minerals elements and non-remobilized components, constituents, elements, minerals, etc. Minerals are classified into two categories, remobilized and non-remobilized elements. What are remobilized? First we will focus on the example N, that is nitrogen, P phosphorus, K potassium, S sulfur. Non-remobilized important calcium. Non-remobilized calcium. Now what are remobilized elements and what are non-remobilized elements? Friends, plant shows maximum growth in spring season. In spring season, you already learnt in previous chapters, anatomy of flowering plants. In spring season, cambium is more active. In spring season, cambium is more active. Hence, appreciable increase in shape, size, etc. Girth of the plant stem takes place. Defoliation occurs. DE, defoliation, DE, काढून टाकणं, foliose leaves. Defoliation takes place. Old leaves are going to replaced by the formation of new leaves. New leaves are formed by plants in mainly spring season. Senescent leaves, senescent portions or organs of a plant. Senescent means aging. Okay, aging organs plants. For example, when leaves become old, they are going to fall down certainly. Flowers will going to fall down. Plant shows continuous defoliation, that is removal of old leaves. Instead, new are going to appear. But during this senescent period, that is aging of plants, for example, this plant experiences leaf fall. This plant experiences leaf fall, and these leaves are going to fall from the plant. These dry leaves are going to fall from the plant. But before leaf fall, now listen, before leaf fall, whatever the useful elements are present in the leaves, they are absorbed by plant. They are mobilized by plant. They again re-enter in the body of plant and are used for physiological activities for the plant, better growth of the plant. So when the leaf is going to fall, the senescent leaf is going to fall, whatever N nitrogen, P phosphorus, K potassium, S sulfur are present in the old leaves are remobilized by the plant and enters in the body of plant and made available for the growth of plant. Okay, ज्यावेळेस फ्रेंड्स, ज्यावेळेस जे प्लांटचे ऑर्गन्स पार्ट स्ट्रक्चर ओल्ड होतील, एजिंग प्रोसेसला सिनेसन्स म्हटलं जातं. ज्यावेळेस लीफ फॉल होणार असेल, फ्लावर फॉल होणार असेल, ज्यावेळेस जुने लीव्स खाली पडतील, च्या बदल्यात नवीन लीव्स येतील, अशा वेळेस प्लांट लीव्सला सांगतो की हॅलो, एनी हाऊ तू आता खाली पडणार आहेस. पण प्लीज खाली पडण्यापूर्वी तुझ्यामध्ये जे काही नायट्रोजन आहे, फॉस्फरस आहे, पोटॅशियम आहे, सल्फर आहे, प्लीज ते परत मला देऊन टाक, जेणेकरून मी माझ्या बॉडीमध्ये त्या एलिमेंट्सचं प्रमाण वाढवल आणि नवीन ग्रोथ अचीव करण्यासाठी ते यूज केलं जाईल किंवा फिजिओलॉजिकल ॲक्टिव्हिटीसाठी वापरलं जाईल. याला म्हणायचं रिमोबिलायझेशन. दोज एलिमेंट्स विच आर प्रेझेंट इन द ओल्ड or senescent regions of the plant in the form of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, etc. are reabsorbed by the plant before the falling of these organs. These NPKs are therefore called as remobilized substances and the process is called as remobilization. Okay, one more time. ज्यावेळेस लीफ ओल्ड बनतील, लीव्स फॉल डाऊन व्हायचं असेल, त्यावेळेस लीव्समध्ये जे काही नायट्रोजन आहे, फॉस्फरस आहे, पोटॅशियम आहे, सल्फर आहे, अशा पानगळ होणाऱ्या प्लांट्समधून ते परत एकदा एलिमेंट्स ॲब्सॉर्ब केले जातात आणि ते प्लांटला ग्रोथसाठी अवेलेबल करून दिले जातात. अशा एलिमेंट्सला रिमोबिलाइज्ड एलिमेंट्स म्हटलं जातं. फ्रेंड्स, now listen very carefully. But non-remobilized elements are those one more time. Non-remobilized elements, you might have got clear what I am going to speak about. Non-remobilized, just you have to reverse, make the things opposite. Non-remobilized elements are those elements which are not going to used by the plant again for its metabolic activities. They are called as non-mobilized elements. Non-mobilized elements. जे एलिमेंट्स जसं की कॅल्शियम, लीव्ज ओल्ड झालेत, ते सिनेसंट फेजमध्ये आहेत, त्यांचं एजिंग झालं आहे, ते खाली पडणार आहेत. परंतु अशा कंडिशनमध्ये, केसेसमध्ये लीव्ज खाली पडण्यापूर्वी प्लांटला सांगतो की हॅलो, मी जाताना कॅल्शियम घेऊन जातो आहे, प्लीज माझ्याजवळ कॅल्शियम राहू दे. नायट्रोजन, फॉस्फरस, पोटॅशियम, सल्फर तू घे, पण कॅल्शियम मात्र मी तुला देत नाही आहे, तो माझ्यासोबतच राहू दे, कारण कॅल्शियमचं रिमोबिलायझेशन होत नाही. ते नॉन मोबिलाइज्ड एलिमेंट आहे. ओके, सो व्हेन द लीव्ज आर in senescent phase, when the leaves are in senescent phase, in aging state, and when they are going to fall, detach from the body of plant, at the same time leaves will not going to hand over calcium to the plant. Leaves will not going to hand over calcium to the plant because calcium is non-remobilized element. Why for calcium is a non-remobilized element? Reason is very simple, because calcium is a structural component of the cell. Because calcium is a structural component of the cell and calcium will not going to remobilize. Friends, ज्या वेळेस लीफ फॉल होत असेल, सिनेसंट फेज असेल, एजिंग फेज असेल, त्यावेळेस लीफनं नायट्रोजन, फॉस्फरस, पोटॅशियम, सल्फरचं रिमोबिलायझेशन केलं. पडणाऱ्या लीफनं हे प्लांटला दिलं, परंतु हे जे लीफ खाली फॉल होणारे, ते खाली फॉल होणारं लीफ काय देत नाही प्लांटला? कॅल्शियम. कॅल्शियम शिवाय बाकीचे एलिमेंट्स तो प्लांटला देऊन टाकतो. कॅल्शियमचं रिमोबिलायझेशन होत नाही. the defoliated leaves, defoliated खाली पडणारे, the defoliated leaves will not going to transport calcium back to the plant, or no remobilization of calcium takes place because calcium is the structural component of the cell. One more time, ज्या वेळेस लीव्स ओल्ड होतील, प्लांटचे पार्ट्स ओल्ड होतील, त्यावेळेस नायट्रोजन, फॉस्फरस, पोटॅशियम, सल्फर ते प्लांटला पुन्हा देऊन टाकतील, त्यांचं रियुटिलायझेशन होईल, त्यांचं रिमोबिलायझेशन होईल, परंतु ते पडणारे प्लांटचे पार्ट्स कधीच पुन्हा प्लांटला कॅल्शियम देणार नाही आहे, ते कॅल्शियम स्वतःसोबत ठेवतील, कारण कॅल्शियमचं रिमोबिलायझेशन होत नाही. ओके, सो क्वेश्चन, why calcium is not remobilized? Why calcium is not remobilized? Answer is, calcium is not remobilized. calcium पुन्हा प्लांटला देत नाही आहे senescent organs, because answer, calcium is non remobilized element because it is the structural component of the cell or plant organs. It forms plant structure. Calcium is the structural component of the cell or plant parts. That's why it is non-remobilized. For example, middle lamella of the cell. What is middle lamella? Middle lamella is useful. It is a cell wall which is useful to connect. You already learned in chapter cell the function of, for example, this is middle lamella. The function of middle lamella is to connect neighboring cells with each other. Adjacent cells are connected to each other with the help of middle lamella. Neighboring cells are in close contact with each other with the help of middle lamella, and the middle lamella is also made up of calcium pectate. Middle lamella is made up of calcium pectate, and calcium is therefore the structural component of the cell or structural component of the plant organs. That's why no remobilization of calcium takes place. So important for CET as well as your NEET exam. Okay friends, so hope you are enjoying the lectures. Read at your home, go through the same, okay, and so keep yourself engaged in study. So the great day, good day. So thank you.